Hey, how y'all doing tonight? It's good to be here, and I hope you guys are doing well. I am Anita Gibson. I am a coach, speaker, and educational strategist, and I'm here to talk with you about an interesting subject. It's about how your child deserves to have a happy mom. You know, as a mom, we usually have so many things to keep track of. For many of us, hey LaDonna, good to see you. For many of us, we are trying to hold together the family, and we're trying to make sure that everything is running well, and we're trying to make sure that the school is good. And in our busyness to make sure that everything gets done, sometimes, Mom, sometimes we get preoccupied. Sometimes we get mean because we are so focused in on all the stuff that we have to do, and we can let the laughter and the fun from life go. And so tonight, I just want to encourage you because you're doing an amazing job. And I think as moms, many times we're really too hard on ourselves. And so what I really want you to know is there are some happiness habits that you can have in your life that will have huge impact for you and your child. I just thank you for showing up today. And I want you guys to know. Hold on one second. Trying to get this off. All right. So this is what I want to say. Number one, a happiness habit. Great with grace. When your children come home from school, and you come home from work, you want to make sure that they are greeted with a smile, with peace, with joy, and not with, did you get your homework done? Do you have homework? What did your teacher say about? There needs to be like this space or this gap so that when your children when they are trying to kind of come down off of the school day, that before you guys get into the details of the day, you are giving them some grace, bringing them some love, and reminding them of how amazing and how awesome they are. It's so easy just to jump into the details of the day. But because your child deserves a happy mom, there are some things that you can do to make sure you have places of grace and love in the midst of the other places where sometimes you do have to bring correction. So happiness habit number one is bring greetings with grace. The second thing, the next happiness habit is say yes as often as you can. It's so easy to say no. And when when we were raising our kids, I said no a lot. I'm just going to be honest. It's actually easier to say no. You know why? Because you don't have to think about it. When you say no, it's over, it's done. There's no more questions. You don't have to get into details. Well, whose house are you going over, or what is that event going to be? And so I found myself just saying no because I didn't want to take the time to think about yes. Because if I said yes, then there were more things that I would have to search out. But I learned that there are enough things in life you have to say no about. And so you have to learn how to say yes about everything you can say yes to. And so when I kind of flipped my mindset, I began to take a little more time. And so instead of very quickly saying, no, you can't do that. No, you can't go there. No, you can't have that. I would say things like, let me get back to you on that. That sounds like a good idea. Let me do some research. I learned to never make promises, but I stopped automatically saying no because I became willing to do the research because I realized that I wanted to bring more happiness into my child's life. So happiness habit number 1 is greet them with grace. Number 2 is say yes as often as you can. And number 3, and Lord have mercy, this was a big one for me, minimize the mistakes. I grew up in a family where if you made a mistake, it was a cardinal sin. And so when my kids grew up, if they spilled their milk or if they accidentally broke a cup, I was enraged. And I hate to say it, but it's true. I just got so angry because they made a mistake until God began to show me that everybody makes mistakes. It's just that when I make them, I minimized it. But when they made them, it was this big deal. And so I made life not so happy in our house because everybody's walking around on eggshells. Oh, I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to do anything wrong because mom's going to get upset. And so when God began to show me, the first person I had to learn to minimize the mistakes on was myself. As I learned to minimize the mistakes on myself, I then was able to have grace for my children and bring laughter in. So, okay, you spilled the milk. Oh my goodness, come on, let's go get some paper towels and let's get it up. You know what? Life is so short. We don't need to be upset about spilled milk. I learned to save. If I'm going to be upset, I'm going to save it for something that I really need to be upset about. And again, it brought that happiness. It brought that joy into our home. I was diagnosed with a brain tumor several years ago, and one of the things that I learned is when you have a serious illness, you need to bring laughter into your life. And so every day for about 30 minutes, I would find something funny on TV and just sit and laugh. And it made me feel so good because I really hadn't done that. Every day I made a effort to make sure that I laughed, to make sure that I had the opportunity to just enjoy life. And as I began to become happier, that happiness began to transfer to my children. So guess what? When it came time to say something that I needed to say to them that might have been difficult or I had to correct them, because there was so much time spent in the greetings, where I was greeting them with grace, where I was saying yes as much as I could. Hey, Tasha, good to see you. Hi, Natalie. As much, I was greeting them with grace. I was saying yes as often as I could. I was minimizing the mistakes. Our life, our house became a much more peaceful place. It was a place that they wanted to come to. It was a place that they enjoy being in. But I had to create that atmosphere. I had to become a happy mom. I had to begin to realize what was really important and that the things sometimes I fussed about were really not that big of a deal. That's right, Kim. Laughter is infectious. It is, and the Bible says that it's like a medicine. It brings healing to your bones. So just imagine if you're bringing that healing, that happiness to your child on a daily basis. You're bringing life to them and you're giving them the ability to learn how to enjoy life, to forgive themselves when they make mistakes, to bring grace to others because you're bringing grace to them. And so I hope that you guys can take the things that I'm sharing today, and I bet many of you are already doing these things. So if you're already in that place and you're already greeting with grace, you're already saying yes as often as you can, you're already minimizing mistakes, keep doing it. Take it to the next level. This is the other thing. When you allow Christ to shine forth in you, and that's what these things are. They're actually characters of God. When you allow your home to be permeated by his character, you impact your kids in an amazing way. And they are actually allowed to come into God's presence and be blessed by your presence. And that is how you create peace in your home. Even if there are others in the home that are not peaceful, you as a mom have the ability to bring the power to bring grace into your home by how you manage your happiness. So listen, I know that every mom that is listening to me wants to be a happy mom. I know you want to create a happy home. And you can do that as you put on the mind of Christ and allow him to permeate your thoughts, your actions, that as you begin to move away from what you can't do and you realize that you can do all things through Christ, you will be an amazing mom. And when your kids grow up like mine have, and they're in their 30s now, they will tell you about how amazing the grace that you provided was for them. They will remind you of how you are their best friend. I am just honored by that my kids are saying to me, Mom, Mommy, they call me, you're my best friend. But I had to learn it, guys. I almost blew it because I was so hard. I was so self-focused. I was such a perfectionist. But because of God's grace, he gave me a second chance. And I was able to go to my kids and say, listen, the way I've been doing things is not the way that it's supposed to be done. I need you to forgive me because I have not been kind to you as I should have been. Sometimes I'm kinder to people outside of the house than I am to you, but no longer. There came a day when I drew a line in the sand and I said, if I cannot be kind in my home, it doesn't matter if I'm kind any place else. If I cannot be happy in my home, it doesn't matter if I'm happy any place else. Because the authenticity of who Anita is will always reside in who and how she treats those that are in her home. In fact, how I learned to treat the people in my home naturally overflowed to how I began to treat other people. And so, Mom, you can be happy. In fact, it's already resident within you. It's called the fruit of the Spirit. If you are a Christian, it is already there. It just needs to be manifested. It needs to be thought about more. It needs to be focused on instead of what you can't do and what you're not. God has already dealt with all of that. What he wants you to focus on is what you are. You are loving. You are kind. You are gentle. You have self-control. Yes, you do. You already have it. Just go ahead, receive it, and begin to practice it. And you will be amazed at how you will be able to influence all those around you without a title, without anything but just being who you are. So yes, Mom, your child does deserve a happy mom. And you're already one. And I'm looking forward to hearing you guys' stories and you sharing about what you're doing these days to show that spirit of happiness in your children. And listen, those are seeds you're planting. And I promise you that fruit tree will grow up. And you will eat from it for the rest of your life. I am Anita Gibson. I'm a coach, speaker, an educational strategist. And moms, I have been called to you. I love you with all my heart. You are the most important people in the world. There is no one more important than you. Of course, dads are important, but a mom is the heart of a home. And you have more influence and power than you know. So any mom who is listening to me right now, if your child is not exactly where you want them to be, right now, in the name of Jesus, I proclaim that you will be what they need. I'm thanking God even now that he has already given you everything you need. I want you to start walking into environments where things are not the way you want them to be. And I want you to start speaking. I want you to start speaking goodness. I want you to start speaking truth. I want you to start speaking what you want to see. Do not accept anything you see in your child if it does not line up with what you know God intended. You are not helpless. You are not hopeless. You have power. And that's what the enemy is hoping you never figure out. And so I'm here today to remind you, you have the authority, because that child belongs to you, to speak what God says in their lives. Speak it to them. Oh no, honey, that's not who you are. This is who you are. And tell them who they are, who God has made them to be. And watch, in time, because it takes time, watch them grow. All right. Thank you so much for the hearts. I really appreciate that. I pray that if this blessed you, that you would consider sharing it with other moms, because this is like a mom's revolution. I call it Star Finder. It's about finding who we are, the star in us, so that we can help our children find the star in them, whether they're struggling students or whether they're struggling with anything, or whether they're not struggling at all, but helping them to become the star that God created them to be when he first gave them to you. Have an amazing night. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.